Vitamin B12 and being a vegan. So in the news in the UK, there's been news circulating about a university student who took her own life due to a vitamin B12 deficiency. So I want to kind of break this down, unravel it and analyze it a bit, because this isn't about the student herself. This is generally about the status of our nutrition in the 21st century. What we're finding, myself, practitioners, and I've even just come back from a conference and had some discussions on the state of our nutrition nowadays. So first of all, imagine whether you're a vegan or not, it doesn't really matter. But yes, if you're a vegan, taking a B12 supplement is really important. But guess what? B12 does not work on its own. You can have regular blood levels of B12 but actually be deficient in folate. You can have high levels of B12 in your blood but actually cellular low levels of B12. It's quite complicated, and this is why we at the New School of Nutritional Medicine teach our students to actually understand all these nuances. Just because a blood test says that something is within range or it's high, it doesn't mean it's high. We don't know what the levels are in the cells. But let's step back a bit and look at the difference between vegans and carnivores or meat eaters. Both can be malnourished. Both can have a B12 deficiency. Both can have any other nutrient deficiency. First question is, why is it that when you switch to veganism, that you're absolutely fine and you might feel absolutely wonderful, you don't take any supplements, and you might actually be living on pasta, white bread, refined carbohydrates and vegetables? Not really a very healthy vegan diet, but you're okay and you feel fine. Several years down the line, you start experiencing things like anemic type symptoms. You might feel breathless, you might on walking, or you get exhausted, you might feel slightly moody, you might find that you're getting pins and needles, and you might start noticing that you've got other symptoms. You're not getting over colds as effectively or quickly, but you've changed your eating habits and you feel like you're more healthy because now you've cut out on meat. And then you've got people who eat meat, who go to fast food joints, who eat food on the go. They eat their whole grain, organic, locally produced food in front of their mobile phone, and they're scrolling whilst they're eating. This can also result in a B12 deficiency or nutritional deficiencies. More so what we call insufficiencies rather than complete deficiencies. Why does this matter, whether you're a vegan or not? It matters because now in the 21st century, the number of people that actually have low folate, low B12, low iron is very common, and they all work together. So you can actually experience B12 deficient symptoms because you don't have enough iron, or because you don't have enough folate, or because you may not have enough essential fatty acids. All the nutrients in your body work together. They're like a team. So B12, iron, all of these nutrients get stored. And B12, you can live without B12 in supplement form as a vegan for several years, up to 5 years, and you don't actually experience the deficiency symptoms, depending on how much you have got already stored. But then what happens is you start experiencing B12 deficient symptoms. So sometimes when somebody becomes a vegan, they feel great and fine. And I'm talking about becoming a vegan that's unhealthy, that's not mindful, isn't eating nuts and seeds and pulses and really making sure that they're getting all their essential nutrients. So what can happen from that is you start experiencing symptoms several years after becoming a vegan. If you then start craving certain foods, you might start craving meat, and then you have meat and you feel awful. You can't digest it. You get this sort of acid reflux. That's because what happens is your body thinks, oh, we're not having meat. We're not having these sort of heavier proteins that need more stomach acid. So your stomach, the innate wisdom of your body, will reduce the acidity in the stomach because it doesn't need it. Why use up energy to produce extra stomach acid? Okay, so if you are a vegan and you do crave certain foods and you do start then eating meat again, or you fancy eggs, and then you get this upset digestive system, it might be because your body still has to adapt to the increase in protein, and therefore that stomach has to, start producing more acid again. Now, the other thing is, if you're on medications, there are several medications that actually reduce B12, especially those on proton pump inhibitors. So if you take a proton pump inhibitor, because you've got what we call acid reflux, and it's not really acid reflux, it's actually you have low stomach acid, or you are stressed out, and then you go on a proton pump inhibitor, you are reducing your stomach acid even lower, or well, making it higher. The pH goes up, if you're in scientific terms. What that then does is it reduces the absorption and assimilation of certain nutrients, including B12. Okay, B12 requires something called intrinsic factor in order to be absorbed, and that intrinsic factor also relies on healthy stomach acid levels. So when you're stressed, your body can reduce its digestive capacity because your body's thinking, I need to run for my life, there's a wild beast in the jungle, and it's not going to focus on digestion. It's not going to think, oh, let's produce some stomach acid, because that person, whilst they're also stressed running from the wild beast in the jungle, they're also eating at the same time. So you have to think about, are you sitting there scrolling on your phone or watching some movie that is quite, disturbing or like a thriller, and you're munching away, or you're eating your evening dinner? That is not healthy. Your body is thinking, wait there, this person is running from this wild beast in the jungle, at the same time they're eating, but it's important to actually survive. So let's reduce the stomach acid. And therefore, you then can start experiencing acid reflux because you've got low stomach acid. If you want to read about low stomach acid and the symptoms of low stomach acid, we have a blog on our New School website, which we'll post down below this video, so you can read up on that as well. So it's not just about being a vegan. And if you are a vegan, please be mindful, get your vitamin B12 in. And I would suggest a multivitamin, multimineral, not just a vitamin B12, and also get blood tests done regularly. If your blood tests are showing normal, but you have symptoms, I would suggest booking in with a nutritional therapist who is qualified in analysing your blood tests and also looking at certain markers. So there's several markers that you can look at. There's MMA, which is actually sort of a byproduct which involves B12. So B12 has to convert A to B, and that B, if it's high in the body and if it's high inside your blood cells, that normally means a B12 deficiency, a cellular B12 deficiency. Remember, blood tests are looking at the blood levels. MMA is actually a biochemical byproduct, which is actually in the cells. So you're looking at cellular levels. That's why I really don't solely rely on blood tests, because they're usually a snapshot in time and they can give a false reading. So somebody can be B12 deficient and they don't know it. They could also have high levels of B12 and then the doctor doesn't say anything, but that can be an indication of, for example, a folate deficiency. Now, some of you might hear that people say, oh, well, you know what, food is fortified with folate or folic acid, it's okay. No, it's not okay, because folic acid is not the same as folate. These are so many areas that I could go into, and this video will become too long and I don't want to right now. But the important thing is, take B12, better off in a multimineral. There are various forms of B12. You've got methylcobalamin, and then you've got adenosine form of B12. Either or. Generally, adenosine is the one that's more kind of the one that you're testing for when you're looking for MMA in the blood. Methyl, the methylated form, is slightly different, but you actually want both. Now, we can go deeper into this and start talking about methylation. If you've got methylation issues, which form of B12 to take, and folate, etc., that I can do another time, a video on that. So, important, multivitamin, multimineral. B12 deficiency can actually occur in people who also eat meat but are stressed, and people on certain medications, especially your proton pump inhibitors, and then having certain blood tests done. As nutritional therapists and as a qualified nutritional therapist, also running a team and training students, we also look at urine tests as well, because we are trained that way. We are trained to look at deficiencies before they become deficiencies, whilst they're what we call insufficiencies. And we look at symptoms as well. So B12 is incredibly important in making neurotransmitters. Acetylcholine, noradrenaline, serotonin, all these neurotransmitters are all about mood. So this particular student who had hallucinations, she was hearing things, she was seeing things. This is a severe B12 deficiency, and that can also be linked to the fact that B12 is incredibly important to make the myelin sheath, which insulates your neuronal cells. And your neuronal cells communicate with one another, and they need this myelin sheath, which insulates the nerve cells, so the nerve cells work more efficiently. Okay, so I hope that's been helpful. Post your comments below, and I will do a few more videos on areas around nutritional deficiencies, because unfortunately they are becoming more and more common, and food is not food anymore. This lab grown meat, you've got lab grown chocolate and stuff like that. It's just shocking what's happening to food, and people are just sleepwalking, not even understanding the long-term impact this is going to have on generations to come. And right now we talk about parents, we at my age, I've got friends who are looking after their elderly parents who have dementia, and then they're looking after their children who are on the spectrum, like for example severe autism, children that are 10 years old and still in diapers. What is going on with the world? Why are we not asking these questions? Why is it because our parents are living longer? But there are people who can live longer and not get dementia. We can actually have agency and prevent dementia. Okay, so movement is, but there's so many things I can talk about, but I'm going to stop now and stop talking. Thank you for listening.